Hey everyone, I hope you guys are enjoying Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak in whichever platform you're choosing to play it on. And today we're going to be going over the fact that Capcom went ahead and dropped a hotfix patch, something that we had been expecting pretty much to take place in early July, as essentially there were a couple of glitches available in the game that were introduced either on the Nintendo Switch back at patch 15.0.0, that's pretty much when Amatsu went live, and on 13.0.0 on Sunbreak, PlayStation, Xbox, and Windows when the game Sunbreak, essentially the expansion, launched on those consoles. And what we were dealing with here at the time was that there was a bug causing a couple of materials to disappear if we were choosing to create decorations. About a month ago or so, I made a video. I went over a couple of those issues and pretty much explained how, if you try to craft decorations and then backed out of the menu, you just simply lost access to those materials. For whatever reason, they would disappear. Capcom confirmed that that was an ongoing issue. They would go ahead and drop a hotfix patch. This was back in June, and they said the hotfix patch would be dropping at sometime nebulous July. Of course, now the patch is currently live, and that is what we're going to be covering in this video. They did confirm in social media that this patch is going live on the Nintendo Switch and Steam. They're actually calling it version 16.0.1 on those two platforms. But meanwhile, on Xbox One, Xbox Series S, Xbox Series X, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and Windows is being called either version 0.0.3.0 or version 13.0.0.003 or version 13.03. Depending on the platform, it has different codings, but of course, it pretty much means the same thing. Some bug fixes will be addressed. There will be no new content available with this update. You should have that available across the board. So if you are playing Sunbreak, you should have an update notification somewhere depending on the launcher that you're using to play it with. First and foremost, I do want to cover the patch notes on the Nintendo Switch. Then we'll transition over to the PlayStation, Xbox, and Windows versions. On the Nintendo Switch, you do get the most amount of patches or bugs being fixed. Same thing as Steam. They simply mentioned that they fixed a bug causing damage output to be decreased for hunters using a bow if their elemental properties exceed a certain value. Now, this is something that they didn't necessarily mention previously before, but I'm sure this was something that they just simply discovered. Bow users essentially dishing out less amounts of damage if their elemental properties exceed max 100. This is exactly what that means. This is something that we saw with heavy bowgun users being, pretty much get adjusted at some point. I want to say a couple of months back, maybe about 2 hotfixes ago or so. Or if you manage to get your elemental boost past north of 100, so essentially maxed out cap, based on like multipliers or things that would trigger based on whatever armor set you were wearing, you could potentially end up having lesser damage elemental output, those numbers that are usually hidden that you don't get to see. And of course, bow turns out had the same situation going on as well. Presumably all gunners did at some point, so it doesn't surprise me like maybe at some point in the future light bowgun gets some sort of adjustment in that same format as well. And they also mentioned that they fixed a bug that during the Amatsu quest where the second monster would not appear during the fight, preventing the players from progressing. So once again, because these bug fixes are mostly addressing issues introduced after the 15.0 patch on Nintendo Switch and Steam, or 13.0 once it launched PlayStation, Xbox, and Windows, that is when Amatsu was introduced on Nintendo Switch and Steam, so those bugs were available there. That's why they're fixing it. And essentially, that means that you could not finish that Amatsu fight if Crimson Glow Valstrax, for example, would not appear, since I believe Apex and Ogre only ever appeared the first time around, or if you brought in Itsuchi as a follower, I believe, as someone told me in the comments once before, then you could get Apex and Ogre to appear again. Usually every other time around it would just be Crimson Glow Valstrax. Lastly, they do mention, and once again we knew about this already, that they fixed a bug causing players to lose material types and armor spheres of any type when forging decorations in a certain sequence. So essentially what it was that you would try to go create a decoration, you go into the confirmation screen to be able to select your items, you select any item, and then you choose to back out from selecting that item. Maybe you want to choose another type of material or whatever it is. And essentially, once you crafted whatever the items you use, you crafted them, you would lose those materials and the craft decoration would not appear in your inbox. So it was a bug that was just showing up. What they suggested was essentially back out completely from the menu or just don't save. You know, make sure that you're going to use a couple of, if you're going to craft a decoration, you use very specific materials. You are not backing out of the menu. You know exactly what you're going to do. Or if you went through the process but you didn't necessarily want to confirm your craft, just back out of the menu completely, then start talking to the smithy again, and you should have been good to go. So that's pretty much the bug that they are addressing this time around. Moving on to the Sunbreak patch on Xbox, Windows, and PlayStation, they simply the patch notes just mentioned that they fixed an issue that causes players to lose material types of armor spheres of any type when forging decorations in a certain sequence. So you are not getting any other patches or adjustments here on those consoles. You are just getting the one that we just went over for the Nintendo Switch and Steam. Pretty much the same issue since it was happening across the board. What it does make me wonder, though, is if it's, for example, that bow glitch that we just mentioned before for the Nintendo Switch, that you were getting less damage output if you exceeded your elemental boost. Maybe it was because elemental boost skill maybe it's not available on those consoles yet, so maybe it's still not available, something that could trigger or potentially happen. But I do know a lot of people ended up noticing that through elemental boost you could actually end up seeing that glitch happening on heavy bowgun. So presumably on bow it's the same thing. So therefore maybe that skill maybe is not available on those consoles yet. I actually don't remember where armor came from, so maybe that is the current issue there. It's just simply not appearing as of right now. And of course, PlayStation, Xbox, and Windows players do not have access to an Allmother fight. That will be happening, I believe, is next month around the 24th or the 27th. I always forget. So we're about, I want to say maybe 5 or so weeks, or maybe 6 weeks or so away from that for those players. Which once again, I don't necessarily understand why they have to wait so long for that content to drop. But yeah, that's pretty much the last patch that we are expecting to get on Sunbreak. Maybe they'll announce something in the future, maybe another hotfix patch. I'll certainly keep you guys posted, but this is pretty much the last patch that we should be able to expect. Maybe something will drop maybe heading into December or something along those lines, a couple of other bug fixes, but nothing really major. No more major content drops, no free title updates, nothing like that. Maybe free item packs. Maybe we'll end up seeing something along those lines, but as far as patches are concerned, this is pretty much the game finally complete in the status that is going to be on Nintendo Switch and Steam. PlayStation, Xbox, and Windows players have a little bit more to go. If you're brand new to my channel, though, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up, and as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.